Alright, hello and welcome to another virtual class. Today we are going to learn about something called tonal abstraction, which sounds really quite fancy, but I guarantee by the end of this these are words that will make sense to you. So earlier in the year you might remember we did a study on value, which was white, black, and all the shades of gray in between. It's the darkness and lightness of a color. These are also called tones. So when I say tonal, it just means the difference between the lightness and darkness. And abstraction would be abstract, which just means that it's different than reality. So sometimes that means the shapes are more geometric, or it's just a bunch of colors or squiggles or flung paint. That's an abstraction. It's just anything that's one step away from reality. And the way we'll use this in our lesson is you will have a picture. This is a picture of my friend Katz. So you'll have a picture of a face, and you can either print it if you have a printer, or hopefully you have a magazine or a newspaper or something with a large face inside of it. And we're going to draw on this face with a Sharpie. So make sure you have permission to deface this face. We're learning to draw faces. We're taking a picture of a face, and we're going to break it down to make it not a face so that it's easier to draw. Because it's very, very distracting when you're drawing a face, thinking about what you know about faces. There's eyes, there's a nose, there's these expressions. We try to get it just right. But it's kind of hard to map that and get the perspective right. So what we'll do today is we'll do the abstraction. We will remove ourselves a little bit more from the reality of the face to make it easier to approach and easier to draw. And we'll do that using the tones. So, well, you can see here, I have found a picture of my friend. I have printed it, and I am going to take my handy dandy Sharpie and begin to outline the different parts where I think it's changing from one tone to another. So that opens up a bunch of questions, because the tones can go from like a light gray to a dark gray or a white to a light gray. So where is that line? There's no answer to that except where do you think there's a line? So at the end of this little section I'll show you two different versions I've done of the same picture where I've chosen to put my lines in different places. The answer to that question is anywhere that you feel like there's a change. This might actually be an easier project for you if you're using a picture from a magazine, if you have permission to draw on that with a pen or a Sharpie. Maybe it's not where the value changes, the tone, but where the colors change. So, you can outline the red of the lip, and then where the light falls on the skin. It may be easier that way. That is up to you, how you want to source your picture. So I feel like a question that you might ask is, how is she deciding where to draw things? I'm mostly ignoring that hair because there are so many tonal changes there, and that's not really the focus of this art piece. And I am focusing, you'll see in my piece, I'm doing Katz's hat, and I'm doing a bit of their t-shirt, and that's just to help me kind of frame up what I'm doing. But basically what I'm doing is I'm just working anywhere that's obvious to me where is a little change. And that's why I showed you the two different versions, because both times I looked at it I chose different places. So I would say follow your intuition, and as long as you have a face with lots of blocked out areas on it, you have done exactly right. Now what you're going to do is you're going to take a brand new paper, and I started with pencil. I know it's probably very hard to see, but I'm drawing just a few little anchor points where the outline of this person's face is, just to help myself a little bit. So, because we are just drawing lines, it might be really easy to make them long and stretched out or short and skinny. So I drew just a few points to kind of show myself the size I wanted. And now I have my Sharpie, and I'm basically going to try to recreate those tonal shapes that I've made onto my new paper. And if you find yourself struggling with it, turning it upside down might be helpful. Because basically we're just trying to make a face into something that is not a face for our minds, something that is just shapes and patterns, and that we're drawing them correctly in space. Because, like I said, we have so much connection to the human face, it's really a little bit hard to take that out of context and just make it an object. So, do turn it upside down if you find yourself stuck. And I'm showing this video in a fast speed. I'm also drawing it with a Sharpie because otherwise I think you wouldn't be able to see it very well. But I would recommend for yourself, you can take your time, do it slower, do it with a pencil. And yes, that is my hair, and that is distracting. I promise I'm still taking showers and brushing my hair during quarantine. I have this really, really spectacular balanced camera on a piano, and I'm working beneath it, so I apologize that you're seeing my little bun there. It's distracting. This is life. So as I move forward, you could see there I just drew a dot, and that's something I'm going to return to over and over again when we're drawing from a reference picture. You can also see how much my head is switching back and forth as I'm looking from my reference to the picture I'm drawing. But I'm going to over and over again draw little dots in the middle of a space before I move forwards. And I call those anchors. That's just helping me. There was one right there. There's one. So I'm going to try to guess where that line needs to end, and that helps me draw a little bit more confidently, especially because I'm working in Sharpie there. So knowing roughly where my line needs to go is very, very helpful. So I think it's so important. I kind of slowed the video down to show you that eyebrow is really floating in the middle of their face. It's not connected to anything, so it could be a little bit stressful if I got it wrong. So what I'll do is I'll guess where it is. Oh, nope, that's not quite right. It's actually closer to that shape. There it is. So I'm drawing my little anchor points, and I'm looking at my reference photo really carefully and seeing how close does that eyebrow come to that hair swoop. How close does that eyebrow come to the top of the person's nose? And then I'll kind of slowly connect those dots. And, if you look at the final version of this drawing, I probably won't highlight them, but there's tons of places where I got the proportions a little wrong. I look at it critically and I see, oh, hey, that one line is actually supposed to be a lot closer to that chin, or that one line went way big, but it's totally okay. We're just learning how to recognize tones and make the face an abstract shape so it's more approachable. So I'm forgiving myself when I do that. So we are nearly done. I just want to go over a few of the reasons we're doing this again. Using these tonal abstractions is kind of a way for us to begin to work on our spatial awareness, which just means we know where something is on the page. Looking at how does that eyebrow relate to the hair, how far does that nose go down the page. And as we get better and better at that, we can start drawing faces that look more realistic and not just what we think that they should look like. And secondly, I'm going to make a video very soon for you guys that talks about how this relates to painting. Because looking at the tones and colors and seeing how they break down into these blurbs is going to be super helpful. So stay tuned and we will see how this relates to you as a painter. Thanks for watching.